All right, how's this for a different kind of view? See a little more of my wall mural and the carving on the wall. And I'll back up and see the size relation between my head and that mask. Pretty big, right? Pretty big. I imagine it was done in proportion, I'm guessing. What to do today? Shall I rant for a bit, maybe? Save it for the end? Or maybe I'll just rant for a whole hour. Maybe I'll rant for a whole hour. Wouldn't that be fun? For the people that can't stand it when I speak on other topics. Oh, what did we do last night? Turkey. Canadian turkey night was last night. I overdid it. All I ate yesterday was a leftover baked potato, and a handful of elk burger. That was it. So my tummy thought that it needed a lot of food last night, and I had 2 heaping platefuls. And then I kept on going, and I ate 2 heaping things of pumpkin pie after, and I rolled around in bed like, oh, after. Neighbors came over for dinner, and then we went out by the fire after. Now, my internet's not working. Out in the shop, don't know why. Maybe they finally took down Elon Musk. I don't know. I guess I'll know once I go back into the house, and hopefully I can load this up from there. So, um, we had a viewer write in a link to alliesofhumanity.com, I believe. And I can't get online to look up what I want to look into to remind my brain, because my brain has so much going on. But so here's the gist of it. I listened to it. I put it on in bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, listened to it again, and when I had a shop day in here finally, trying to get things done inside the shop, and I had it playing full bore while I was doing stuff. So I missed a little bit here and there, but the gist of it is this man's father, Marshall Vian Summers, allegedly was in contact with these other people who are originally not from here. Okay? They passed on a bunch of information to him, and he passed it on to his son, Reed Summers. And I listened to him. And I don't know who he is. I don't believe he's trying to make a buck. I believe he definitely has messages that are important to him. I found another podcast with him, not a podcast, I found another presentation. He was with some UFO summit in Brazil, and he gave his delivery there. He doesn't seem to have much of a following online. Not that means anything. But I think maybe possibly I may contact him and see if he wants to deliver his message here. I think it may be worthy. Whether or not it is legitimate, the origins of the message seems pretty good to me, and it fits. It fits with all the confusion that's going on for many of us who are keeping tabs on what's going on around us today and have watched everything surge in such a short amount of time when it comes to knowledge technology, lower quality of life for your average family in the so-called modern world. And it fits. So, if you're one of our many sleuths, you can look into that person yourself. And if you already have, throw down in the comment section below what you would think if it's worthy or not to have him come here and spread his message through our audience. All right? Because my gut's telling me he's legitimate. I don't know anything about him just from yesterday. All right? I don't know nothing. From what I have watched and listened to, he seems legitimate and his message is worthy. And maybe he might have some interest in coming here, talking to a regular guy like me, and I'll shotgun some questions at him. But I believe his message is worthy. Now, what else? Funny thing, a little off topic, but while I was cleaning out the shop and I got underneath the floor over there and had some boxes that weren't unpacked yet, and I found some items that I haven't seen forever. And I was glad I found them. I have so many stories from my career, my guiding career, and the people I've met, the places I went, the things I've done. And I don't really share too much because it sounds a little over the top. But I assure you, my life is, every one of these experiences is real. And years ago, I met some guys guiding, and one of them was very close friends with Elvis Presley. And these gentlemen ended up taking me down to the southern U.S. This is like 25 years ago. And turns out I learned at an early age about money and power. And I also learned that when it comes to an elected position in the States, a lot of people are corrupt from the bottom up. And I can prove that by this police ID they gave me while I was down there. Obviously, this man that I was with, quite the frickin' character. But what I was told was if this man and the local sheriff liked you, you had it made. If they didn't like you, your life was doomed. I learned a lot in those early days, and they actually gave me my own legal police ID. Check this out. It's an authentic badge. It's a story I should tell one time. I'll write a book. I'll write a book eventually about all of my crazy shit that went down in my lifetime, but I got to cover up some of the stuff. Here's the official legal. I got to cover up my number here because stuff on here that's mine. Official legal police ID. How corrupt is that shit? Long story with that, but as I thought I had lost this, and I found it. What else I found? Found a magazine years back. What year is this? Stupid glasses. 2003. And a past client had written in a story on his own that was hunting with me. And it turns out, coincidentally, it's one of my most special memories. Of all the hunts I've guided, this individual especially, true passionate outdoorsman, and they did a big cover story of his hunt with me. It's an insane day. What happened that day? I believe I told that story on my hunt stories. Here, I'll hold that up again. Maybe I'll screenshot. I don't even remember his version of what he wrote down, but it's fortunate to find that magazine. I thought I lost that. Maybe I'll screenshot it and you can read it. Anyway, moving along. So I've got my new phone here, and it's sending me notifications from YouTube, which I ignore, and I usually have that turned off. As I'm working along, my phone went ba-ding, and I look, and the odd time I look down, I'll see a comment, and sometimes I'll comment, or sometimes I'll see the odd comment, the odd time, and it'll be somebody being a little outrageous, and I'll pin their comment. All right, you want some attention? Here you go, you got it. I'll pin it so you can read it and say how you feel. And I'm going to say this. Yeah, I'm going to rant a little bit. Not really rant, I'm just going to talk because I can. And I think it's important. A lot of the stuff that's going on today is outrageous. And it's odd while I watch people, even friends of mine, people I have respect for, and I watch how they cruise along, what comes out of their mouth, what they focus on, and what truly upsets them right now. And it'll be amazing to me to watch some of the items that some people I know firsthand and people on here, and watch what people are focusing on and are upset about today. And it absolutely does not make any sense at all. And I will listen, I'll watch, I'll listen, and I don't feel the need to engage and argue with them. I just sort of sit back and my brain takes it, and my brain says, wow, where is the recipe? Who has come up with the recipe to make so many people's minds operate this way? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. I like to think I got common sense. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I think I do. And a lot of people are reacting, knee-jerk, emotionally reacting and thinking and lashing out. Maybe not lashing out, but speaking out loud. And it really takes me back, and it's hard for me to understand. Like one person, when I asked everyone the other day, what are you focusing on today? What, besides when you come here, what is it you daily focus on? What do you keep tabs on? And I'll share with you what I do in a minute. And I promised to look at the comment sections below, and I actually looked intentionally. And I'm reading a bunch of, there's a lot of people who are keeping tabs on a lot of different topics around the globe currently, as well as this channel. And somebody made a comment about they lashed right out at all of the so-called dummies. I can't word it word for word, whatever. The gist of the comment was the amazement of how many people can actually take in all this bullshit from Donald Trump. He's a clown. And I read it, and I was taken back a little bit. Actually, I actually got motivated to comment and pin it because I want to see what everybody else thought about this. Because all names aside, all characters aside, it's amazing to me today that currently we're on the brink of World War III. There's no denying it. We have been the closest ever since Hiroshima to somebody pressing the button on a nuclear missile exchange. That is current today. That's the position we're in today. I follow a lot of various people around the world who are way smarter than I am, and they are all forecasting the financial crash is coming. They backed it up with the receipts, and I'm watching that closely. And what amazes me right now is how the people in the world currently today, the people that are pulling the strings, stealing our money, pulling the strings, how they are absolutely, without a doubt, 100% responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent human beings just the past few years. Okay? Just the past few years. They're responsible for the quality of life deteriorating in the collective West, North America. And no one is lashing out when their name is brought up. Very few. It's very bizarre for me to watch. Somebody is lashing out at Donald Trump right now. The man has had zero political influence globally for nearly 4 years. Nothing. And the people who are actually expending that energy to drop his name and lash out, that clown, that loser, that piece of shit, that dictator, he's like Hitler, blah, blah, blah. And I don't give a shit how they feel about this individual. All my brain is seeing, my brain is watching these people lash out in that direction, and instantly I react by going, holy shit, really? Really? We're on the brink of World War III. Hundreds of thousands of people have died needlessly. And your brain isn't even bringing up the names of the people responsible for that position we're in today. Nothing. Flatline, right over your head. But your brain is telling your mouth to lash out at Donald J. Trump, who has had zero political influence in 4 years. That, for me, is like, what the fuck? It doesn't make me angry. It makes me go, holy shit, no way. How many people are doing this today? How many people are currently seeing the position we are in globally and nobody's saying shit, lashing out at the names that are responsible for it? I don't get it. It really takes me back, and I sit back and go, oh, this is a movie. This has got to be a frickin' movie. But anyway, what I just shared with you coincides with the message that Allies of Humanity is a big part of that message. And that message, if it is legitimate and it's true, it does fit, and it does help my mind wrap around what's possibly going on with a lot of us. Yeah, so maybe I should get a hold of that guy actually and have him on here and have him share. It's really, really bizarre how to be aware and watch everyone cruise through these times. For me, bringing society on the brink of nuclear war, for me, I feel that is absolute legitimate fuel to right now, today, round up all of the popular names, the absolute characters, the characters who are absolutely responsible for this, round them up and put them in life prison. And go back to go, straighten the shit out, and focus on quality of life and the good, kindness, love, help, healthy, quality. Right? But nobody's doing it. We are being led to fight amongst ourselves, divide, not have community anymore at all. And it's really upsetting. Anyway. I could go on and on and on. There's so much fuel to rant about. You know, I remember when we were in Asia, I probably said this before, I'm going to say it again. When we were in Asia, just before the big C-19 went down, and the second it did, my gut reaction was instant. My gut screamed, intentional. Don't know about any of you. Did I panic? Not for a second. Did I fall in line? Not. Actually, I remember. I was up the Squamish Valley, on the Squamish River. And I started off my video that day in the timber. I didn't say a word. And I brought a mask with me. And I held it up to the camera. And I got a lighter. And I lit it on fire. And I watched the mask burn. And I dropped it on the ground and let her rip. And then all I said was, that's what I think about that topic. knee-jerked a bunch of people to blow a gasket. But I have to say this again, in case there's a lot of people out there who it went right over their head, as usual. Think about this when it comes to that topic alone, and it's just one solid indicator of the sacks of shit currently today who are bringing our quality of life down. Picture this one. The big C-19 comes into play. You're going to have masks. You're going to put stickers on the floor in the grocery store so you go the right way up and down the aisle. That's going to save your life, right? And no, I never went. I went against that anyway. No. You will never put a sticker in an aisle and get me to follow that direction in this lifetime. It's not going to happen. Anyway, during that time, people couldn't go to watch their children's hockey game in an arena unless they had a mask on and unless they proved that they had the forced injection. Okay, follow me. This may be old news. I don't give a shit. It needs to be repeated. Right? People could not attend their children's graduation ceremony. Period. People could not go and be beside their loved ones while they were dying in the hospital. Period. Right? I remember a man got arrested in Squamish for going to his kid's hockey game and not falling in line with all his horseshit. They arrested him. But meanwhile, the whole time, you could walk into any big box store, Walmart, Home Depot, Canadian Superstore, McDonald's, A&W, Subway. You could still go in there freely and walk around and shop. That right there, how that did not cause coast-to-coast revolt, just that fact alone, how that went down and the population did not revolt and grab all responsible, round them up and hang from telephone poles in the street, I haven't a frickin' clue. I haven't a clue. How did they do that so smoothly? How did they do that so blatantly in our faces and not pay for what they did and are still in those positions today is absolutely mind-boggling for me to sit back and watch as this shit show movie goes on from day to day. Absolutely mind-boggling. Did I miss something? Am I out of line? Am I incorrect? Please straighten me out if I missed something. Right? It's one of the easiest things in our current recent history to pull up, talk about, and shake our heads at. Wasn't it like years and years and years ago, the original people that came over to North America, weren't they all jumping on the ship to get away from this kind of shit show? Isn't that what happened? Isn't that the original motive for people to jump on that ship and go across the ocean and find the promised land, the new beginnings, freedom, fight for freedom? Now where are we going to go? Where are we going to go set up community now? Where can we go create a true community again and leave all the bullshit and the bad people behind now and the bad system? I don't know where we're going to go now. There's nowhere left to go. Can't run from it. Right? We can't run from it. Now what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What are you going to do? Fall in line? Do nothing? You know what I mean? Everybody's going to be like, what are you doing? Well, I'm making people aware by the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. That's one thing I can do. They're not going to shut me up. Imagine that. There's a deadly virus entering our community. It's killing everybody. Now listen, we're still going to allow people to go into the grocery store, okay? Even though you may be infected, we're still going to let you go to our community's number one food source, the grocery stores. We're going to let you go in there, untested, and shop around. But make sure you walk this way in the aisles, okay? But if you try to go to your kid's hockey game, we're going to arrest your ass. If you try to force yourself into that hospital room where your lifelong partner's dying to be by their side, oh no, we're going to arrest your ass for that too. That right there should have been enough for all of you to go absolutely ape shit. I was definitely going ape shit myself. And I was getting booted off here and thrown in jail fairly often. Remember that? That's why I created the backup channel. Anyway, things to think about in case you missed it, especially if anybody's here that's wearing a mask and driving around with your frickin' window rolled up in your car still, or maybe wearing a stupid mask in the grocery store when it's proven from doctors told you flat out the particles go through the mask. All right, I'll stop. There's my rant. It's an oldie, worthy, legitimate. Allies of Humanity. Check them out. Let me know what you think in the comment section below if that guy has a legitimate message that we need to help him share. Because I'll tell you what, if you listen to him, I believe a lot of what he has to say fits and helps me potentially understand what the F is wrong with so many of us today. Now, there you go. Who did I piss off today? I hope a lot of people. I hope I pissed off so many people with my rants, because you know what? When I piss people off, they're listening to me, and they're going to remember my words for the whole day, maybe a whole week. So, I win. I win. You had to listen to me, got angry, and you still got to hear my message, and you're going to think about it. Some weird experiences from my dad and myself is the title of this email. Steve, been following your channel since you started with the Bigfoot subject. I love your no BS attitude, but can tell you're also an intelligent man. Not some don't give an F braggadocious idiot. Thanks for giving so many a voice. Thank you for the kind words. Firstly, I didn't say just how much I've learned and love my dad. Sorry. Firstly, if I didn't say just how much I've learned and love my dad, I'd be doing a disservice. He's my hero and the one who got me into this stuff. The first story, my father was in Jamaica in the late 70s. He was in the mountains hanging out as he lived on and off the island for years around this time. On this particular evening, nothing was amiss until the kerosene lantern fell from above this wooden shelter. Not thinking, my dad reacted and caught the lantern to prevent a fire. But the glass was so hot, it melted my dad's hands and fingers. He said he was passing out from the pain. Then an old woman appeared. She was a medicine woman, voodoo, witchcraft. She saw how bad my dad's hands were. She wrapped them with different leaves and herbs and oils and spoke something. Then he went to bed. When he woke in the morning, she undid her dressing from the night before. My dad's hands were completely fine. No more pain, no disfigurement, like it never happened. My dad is still puzzled. He thought he'd be deformed for the rest of his life. Secondly, my granduncle, my dad's uncle, his wife had abilities, psychic abilities, but she stayed to herself and we never spoke. So, I never even tried to. Well, my father, being the leader of his family, would visit every so often to check in. The first story I heard was when my dad crashed his Porsche. It was a horrible crash, which luckily he was fine, but he lost his father's glasses. My grandfather passed away when my dad was a senior, in his arms, and my father cherished the things that still connected him to his dad. Well, this crash. My dad couldn't find his glasses. A month or so later, my dad visits his uncle and his wife just casually tells my father the glasses aren't broken or lost. They're further than you searched. They're here, pointing out a bridge. Well, where my dad crashed, there's a bridge for trains a little ways down the hill, so my dad goes and looks. Yep, right there. So now on different occasions, she would randomly pick my dad or someone he brought with him, or me, and she'd hand you something or tell you something pertinent or much needed about your life. Giving my dad's buddy an article specifically about Marine Force recon in Desert Storm, told me he'll forgive you after I was handed something special which I later sold. Somebody told me he'll forgive you after I was handed something special which I later sold. But at that time had no idea, and showed another friend a newspaper article about weed and told him where he lived. Nothing crazy intelligent, though. Okay, this is going to freak people out. I'll keep it brief. A childhood friend of my dad's from the neighborhood fell into a drug-induced coma for 3 to 4 days, then came out of it. Everyone was so happy, but he seemed off. When he had first woken up, the nurses and his friends/family said he was saying the name of an old teacher of theirs. Like, "Hey, Mr. Saunders." "Good." "Okay, bye." Or something generic like that. Well, then they saw paper from a day or so before. Their teacher passed away. The way he describes it, they were both walking, one way, and the other another. They smiled, acknowledged each other, and kept walking. Pretty cool. My dad's got even more great stories. All right, well, there you go. Send us some more. What do you got? Didn't freak me out. Nothing freaks me out anymore, except how we roll through life. That's about what freaks me out the most, but that was interesting. Very odd. We've had a lot of people email in about being cured of ailments or injuries that shouldn't have been cured overnight. It's a real thing. Why isn't it universal? How come it isn't in every community? How come we can't instantly heal people overnight with everything? We probably can. We probably can, right? I'll keep going. This is connected to Bigfoots. All cryptids, portal technology, important for weather modification info. All right, here we go. Hi, Steve. You once read my email about I think it's a typo, RHESUS negative info, and how a connection could exist to Bigfoot and other interdimensional experiences. It was the New Year's episode last year, I believe. I've learned a lot of things and put more info together. And this is for anyone you know with ears to hear. I would strongly advise not discussing this on your YouTube channel. They will remove your channel, and please be careful who you tell if you mention what we did recently. I trust you a lot. I know you're not a double agent like some are, and here's the info. We recently sent this to Dan Wigington as well. What do you mean? Does that mean I'm not supposed to? I strongly advise not discussing this on your YouTube channel. They'll remove it. Just for saying that means I'm going to do it. I want to urgently share this info with anyone with ears to hear. We may have done this recently, directing this info at St. Louis Arc in response to Hurricane Milton. The St. Louis Arc has long been cited as a weather modification weapon. It's deeper than that. The man who designed the Ark was involved in Cold War atomic bomb research. Dwight Eisenhower is the only president to ever go into Ark and was very involved in weather modification research. Okay, sleuths. There you go. There's one to go look into. The arch sits on the mighty Mississippi, and the Mississippi River dumps into the Gulf of Mexico. Remember, water has memory. The arch also sits below where the Missouri River dumps into the Mississippi River. The Missouri River has two sites that are contaminating the Missouri with nuclear particles from past Cold War uranium mining sites, waste remediation sites. It's not a coincidence they put these on this Missouri River that dumps into Mississippi. The arch has a purpose. We also have heard massive amounts of organite was in those mounds of St. Louis that they have since destroyed and buried. They try to wipe the mound city info out of existence, but Cahokia still sits on some ley line. Capital Cahokia still sits on same ley line. Ley lines are important. We have a lot of info and underground bases around us as well. It's a long story, how we learned about stuff, but lifelong resident here in this region. So, one fact I find fascinating is that the St. Louis Arch has recently been changed to a national park by Donald Trump in 2018. The fact they spent $380 million to remodel the basement of it and landscape should make everyone scratch their heads. $380 million. Now think of the bizarre research on national parks done by Dave Manley and others. These national parks are very important to deep state entities and have long been cited to have portal-like phenomenon happening. Portal phenomena has also long been connected to nuclear research facilities as well. So, When we did what we did last Monday night, it caused helicopters to begin frantically circling the same route we took. Bracket, not the tour ones that do arch tours, but actual unmarked Black Hawks swarm the area. I have footage. We also went to the Cahokia Mounds in circles. We also went to the Cahokia Mounds and circles them, as well as Weldon Springs Remediation Mound and West Lake landfill full of nuclear waste. We then encircled the NEXRAD weather radar, which is shockingly right next to Weldon Springs nuclear remediation site. There's a huge connection between nuclear waste, Cold War connections to weather modification, and even portal technology. Nuclear waste and the bad RF/EMF/ELF is always used in combination. We can fix the energies and frequencies in a region if done correctly. If just one small group could do this in St. Louis, imagine what many groups could do across the U.S. If you're already aware of hidden truths, then you'll understand the higher dimensional beings are running most countries, if not all countries. They can only come through doors that human beings opened. They did this in ancient times as well. So a variation of that statement is also meshes up with the message from that guy with Allies of Humanity. Ancient sites set on these important key lay mine sites. You'll see the old world buildings in these places too. We have dominion over this earth as human beings from the one true creator. Prayers are important, but people are so blocked and damaged energetically that they don't effectively do much when praying. Fasting is such a small part of it, but we can do things to stop this and close portals, or at least regulate them for short periods of time. And this info below is for Floridians and anyone being attacked with weather modification storms. You don't need the exact stuff I'm mentioning, and you can modify this. People can block chemtrails and tornadoes at very least. You can regulate the abnormal, unpaired, chaotic electromagnetic particles, or radioactive in some cases. Here's how to dissolve tornadoes and thunderstorms where you live. It's going to get interesting. Number one, you have to have good organite. ORGONITE. That is made correctly, not garbage on Etsy. We use Fix the World Morocco. We started with just 2 of these sleep pods, so it doesn't need to be expensive. We now spend over $1,000 on their products. This isn't where it ends, though. Confusing to me. Number 2, because crystals only amplify energy, good or bad, and a lot of them are made toxic with radioactive materials that permanently damage frequency of crystals, crystals are not safe alone. Never put crystals on toxic RF or EMF devices. Most crystals are toxic. And to those Christians who freak out and say they're demonic, don't realize we are using techno-sorcery every time we start a car, use a phone, or even the television. These crystals are simply a tool, and it isn't that they're all bad. You just need to know where you're getting them and how to use them effectively. Number 3, we use Scholar Energy pain pads from a company that no longer sells them, but they still sell water at Liquid Mana Water. It may still work with the water. They sell radioactive detox products that the crystals could amplify. When paired with argonite, it makes something magical happen. Number 4, pairing the Liquid Mana with the well-made organite into a Ziploc bag. There's a few typos. And placing in a body of water, bracket, you can even use a bathtub if that's all you can do, and fill the drain multiple times so it goes into city water supply. During summer, we put the bag in the pool with organite pods on top of Scholar Energy pain pads in double zip locks. Do not get organite wet. It will ruin it over time. Do not leave organite too long in the sun, but long enough to charge it. Salt water is even more powerful. Borax and Epsom salt in a tub or pool with the bag is even more powerful. Number 5, Now that you have your bag, you can play frequencies to the water with powerful speakers or any speaker you have. We use a powerful frequency based on the tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton. One more time. Tetragrammaton frequencies and get best results. You can experiment though. We have done worship music, especially a cappella. Not mainstream Christian music that is laced with 440 hertz isn't as powerful. You can sing to it. We just use speakers. You don't have to play frequencies to orgonite in public, but do it, then take the orgonite and it holds the frequency for brief times. I am like Oliver, I don't know what the hell's going on here. It's a long one and I don't get anything yet myself. One thing people don't realize with orgonite is that you have to daily charge the orgonite in direct sunlight. Face in multiple windows throughout the day. We put it on moonroof mat between the roof and the window where no one can see when driving around, or tape inside to dashboard. Number 7, go to sacred sites in your area with the products and hang out with stuff on the dashboard of the car. Encircle them. Find radioactive places and circle them if legal to do so. Number 8, encircle your entire area. A complete circle, 1 to 3 times, driving in the car or walking. Takes a long time. We do walk our neighborhood and encircle our home, so the energy can entirely be released while playing the frequencies in your car. This is called Jericho circles, like the Bible. In the Bible story, they encircled a region 7 times, playing music of some kind. Another important observation is how solfeggio, I'm probably pronounced it wrong, frequencies are embedded into the book of Numbers when words are changed to numbers. The solfeggio, SOLFEGGIO frequencies are repeated over and over, so the stories themselves are like 5D. Even doing just a few of these things, you'll see increased response in atmosphere and how far you can block the demonic modifications. We have noticed increased results with both Altera whole home plugins and Spyro discs, the old one. Some companies over time become taken over, so never trust one brand. We have a simple trimeter to monitor effectiveness. We are constantly recording before and after on weather radars. People even mention in my direct area how they think a bubble is around us. Rinse and repeat. You'll notice chemtrails can no longer exist above you and scatter to all sides. We don't know if we helped Milton, but someone really could stop future hurricanes if this same info is used on a larger scale. We could also heal the ionosphere and even heal the sun. Protect your family and home at the very least. God loves each and every one of us. Sincerely, just a person who wants to protect my family and this nation. There you go. That was a long one. Confusing to me. Is it legitimate? I don't know. Any sleuths out there going to dig into that? I'm starting to think today, not today, for many days, for many years now, what we have been raised to believe is insanity is turning out to be legitimate in many different directions, right? So everybody's got to be heard. What do we got here? I got a few confusing ones today, I think, maybe. This is titled Another Question. Hey, Steve. Your Northwest Ozarks Christian hillbilly scholar here again with another question for your discussion. I have never had an encounter, nor do I want one. You read my email a couple of months ago where I asked a couple of questions about Sabe, DNA, and portals. Thank you for sharing that. In several of your videos in the last few months, you've asked questions about the connection of dogs and Sabe. That question has triggered a memory I have from the late 1980s or early 90s that I hadn't thought about for over 30 years. I can't remember the source, but I recall a radio talk show or an article I read that pondered the idea that a dog is a species that has been genetically altered by man. And the reasoning to explain is, there are so many different breeds of the same species from 6 inches long to 6 feet tall. Natural evolution cannot explain. And that dog, spelled backwards, is God. Odd, right? I never thought about that. So, with that being said, my question. If Sabe is an altered species, and a dog being possibly an altered species, is that the connection between the two? I don't know if a dog is a genetically altered creature or not. I just see it as another possible piece to the puzzle. Thank you, Steve, for allowing me to get that off my chest. And forgive me for only having questions and no answers. Keep up the good fight, brother. I pray your listeners find peace, discernment, and truth. God bless you and yours. You can use my name you did last time, and you pronounced it correctly. Ha ha. Sincerely, John Dietzel. Did I pronounce it right this time? Dietzel. Well, it's D-I-E-T, Dietzel. Z-E-L. John, appreciate you, man. I don't know, who knows? The dog thing for me, I spent a lot of my time in the woods in British Columbia dealing with problem wolves. I've had my hands on a lot of wolves. And when they say, well, dogs originated from wolves, I don't give a shit what anybody says. That makes me go, what the F are you trying to tell me? So, I was looking at a French poodle, and I'll look over at a dead wolf. I'm like, all right, sorry, I'm not biting. Just me. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being a dumbass. When you tell me that a chihuahua originated from a wolf, no, it didn't. You're lying to me. That's just me, though. Take from it what you will or leave it. You will never, ever convince me that all domestic dogs originated from wolves. Sorry, not biting. I guess that's a little off topic, but whatever. I don't know if there's a connection between the Sabe and the dogs, but I can tell you what. Now that I'm a dog owner now, first time for the past 2.5 years, I'm learning a lot about dogs, and I'm also learning that, holy shit, are they ever full of absolute love, right? So the second you said that dog spelled backwards is God, I instantly thought, well, they are full of nothing but love, right? It's so weird to watch and witness firsthand on the dog topic with humans. It's like when they greet you in the morning, even though they may have slept in the corner of the bedroom floor, they greet you in the morning like they are so freaking happy to see you. Every single day, no matter what. And when you go away and come home, you dog owners know what goes down. Chaos. Right? If you go away for the day and come home, your dog is freaking out, absolutely full of nothing but love. Nothing but love. So, there's a reason it's God spelled backwards, just for that fact alone, right? Full of love. Now, why are dogs absolutely terrified of and need to get away from these people is a big question for me, and it has not been smoothly answered for me yet. Excuse me. What do we got? Now, I went into... Did I read everything? All the recent ones? Got a couple of days of recent read. All right. Now, I went back... Having coffee this morning, I went back in one of my emails to the... You can hit that button. It takes it back to the very first one that hit the inbox. Where did it go? Damn it. Did I just screw up again? Hold on, you guys. Sorry. All right. So this title, this email, I'd imagine I must have read is in the year 2020. And the very first one to hit this inbox, the very first email was titled, "Who's Going to Believe a 13-Year-Old?" And I felt maybe this was read back then, maybe it wasn't, but that's the title that's got me knee-jerk to read it again right now. Hey, Steve. Do you believe these Sasquatch beings are immortal or immortal beings? In all your world travel and research and seeing one of these damn things, what's your opinion? I too have had an experience seeing them, and I'm curious as well. I don't remember reading that question. Mortal or immortal? I think they're both. My story. Who's going to believe a 13-year-old? My experiences with these beings happened when I was 13, and I'm 37. I'm now 37 and still remember that moment. I'm an avid hunter and have had that passion since I was born. Luckily got the guts to share my story, and I'll believe it till the day I die. I love you, no nonsense, no BS, honest, straight up talking attitude, and defend, quote, good, honest, and hardworking people, end quote. Appreciate the words, man. Long story short, I was at a scout camp out, and it was after dark, and I walked to the cabin where my brother was. The cabin had a big glass pane window with a light on. As I was walking toward the light of the window in the cabin, two massive beings stepped out of the trees, walking side by side onto the two-track road with the trees on both sides of the two-track. I immediately crouched down so I could get a better look. Let me remind you that they were 20 feet in front of me. The light of the window between them and me really made their figures stand out. They were massive. One was, I guess, 9 feet tall, and the other 7 feet tall. The smaller one was at the biggest one's shoulder height. As I was crouched, they kept walking towards me. I called out my brother's name, thinking it may be him. The creatures stopped when I called out my brother's name, and both creatures immediately stopped and turned into the trees and disappeared silently. They walked next to a power line pole and into those trees. When they disappeared, I turned tail and ran back as fast as I could to the other cabin, which was about 75 yards away. And I was silent the rest of the camp trip. I just told everyone I was sick. I still deal with what I saw. Nobody but my family believes what I saw. Seeing two is rare from what I've heard, maybe not. To deal with going back into the woods where these beings live, I took a stress management class in college, and our final exam was to, quote, face a fear, end quote, and go face it, and write about it for the final exam. Whether skydiving, asking a girl out, etc., so I went to the same spot and spent the night alone. Wow. I never said in the exam what I saw, just that I was afraid of being in the dark alone. What I saw. And facing that fear when I slept alone years later helped me deal with my passion of hunting and still going outdoors alone or with friends. Maybe telling that will help others feel they can go back and enjoy their passion outdoors. Don't get me wrong, I still have a hard time going hunting and camping alone, but I still do it. The two beings I saw, I know they were not human. Without a doubt, I know they were Sasquatch/Bigfoot beings. Hopefully my story can reach you and others who have experienced these massive, intriguing beings. Stay safe, and thank you for saying, quote, you have my back, end quote. You have no idea. For what it's worth, I got your back too. Feel free to use my name. Thanks, Steve. Justin. Justin, you're a superhero, man. You're a superhero, Justin. I don't even know if it was in your intent, but you just shared a lot here for a lot of people who are looking for answers and possibly looking for help to regain that confidence again. Bravo, man. You're a superhero. Brave. And I appreciate your email big time. Big time. It's people like you that make this place what it is. It's a freaking good place, right? Super email. Isn't that funny? I was compelled to read that this morning and copy and paste it without reading it. I just saw the title. And I'm like, I'm going to copy and paste that for today's session. There you go. Very worthy. Very worthy. Now, who's next? This is... I can't tell if that's the date, if this is recent, or I just saved it today. Oh, no. It's an older one. It's titled 3 Stories. It's not too long. I'm going in. Dear Steve, I've been listening to your channel for a while now. I enjoy hearing all the hunting stories and Bigfoot encounters. I am so glad that you take each one of the Bigfoot stories seriously with no criticism or mocking. Thank you. It's too easy. It's too easy. When it's truth, appreciate the kind words. And you're welcome. I have 3 short stories to tell, 2 that involve both my daughter and I, and 1 that was my daughter's own encounter. All three occurred within a short period of time. The first encounter happened at a popular trout fishing campground in southern Missouri. It's funny how it's spelled. We call it Missouri, but when I was in Missouri, everybody says it's Missouri. We're going to Missouri. I'll call it Missouri. It was September of 2012, and the campground was packed full of campers. This campground was located in a valley that was surrounded by the Ozark Mountains. My husband, daughter, and I were camping in our large dome tent. We had enjoyed a full day of fishing and all the joys that go with it. After sitting around the fire, we decided it was time to retire for the evening. And just as I was about to doze off, I heard this loud, obnoxious noise. There was someone in the next tent who was sawing logs with an industrial-sized saw, if you know what I mean. For me, a light sleeper, it meant no sleep tonight. It was very frustrating, to say the least. Sometime after midnight, the snoring finally stopped, but it was too late for me. I was wide awake, and as I lay there in the silence, I hear this low, wailing/howling sound. It went on for several seconds, moving up and down in pitch as it echoed off of the hills surrounding the campground. I live in rural Missouri, and I'm very familiar with the local wildlife and the sounds they make. I've heard bobcat, coyote, owls, and even a bear. This was not a sound I had ever heard before. I also know what wolf and dog howls sound like, and this was not that either. My mind immediately went to thoughts of Bigfoot. When we got home, I went online and searched for recordings of Bigfoot, and when I finally found what I was looking for and played the recording, I was excited. It sounded identical to what I had heard. It was almost 2 years later before my daughter, Elise, was brave enough to tell me she had also heard the same sound that night. Or should I say, both strange sounds. The industrial saw and the Bigfoot. In 2013, a Lakota friend of ours talked Elise and I into hiking up to Black Elk's Lookout in the Black Hills of South Dakota. This hike took place at the end of March. It was 17 degrees with a foot of snow on the ground. Not the easiest hike to take when you had been sitting on your backside all winter. We started out all amped up and excited about the adventure that was ahead. We were cutting up and joking around. Soon the conversation turned to that very subject. The Lakota are firm believers in Bigfoot. They say he walks between two worlds and has been seen regularly on the reservations. As our conversation continued, we soon began a Bigfoot calling contest. It was for fun to hear our voices echoing out across the Black Hills. But before long, we were back to business with our hike and made our way towards an especially dense area of the forest. As we progressed into this area, we all started feeling very uncomfortable. So much so, we all became very quiet, except for the prayers that were being muttered just under our breath. As we come out of that area, we began to talk about what we each were feeling. None of us visibly saw anything, but our Lakota friend was certain we were being watched by Bigfoot. We had called them, and they had come. The next encounter is by far the most definite one. As I said earlier, we live in rural Missouri. We have a small farm with livestock that includes horses. In the summer 2015, Elise saddled up one of the mares and went for a late afternoon ride down a gravel road. About 2 miles down the road, there was a herd of goats. Elise happened to ride that direction on this particular day. It was very warm, around 85 degrees with high humidity. She was enjoying her ride, and the mare was doing great. They rode past the goat herd about a half a mile, then returned to come back towards the farm. As they were passing the herd a second time, the mare began to jig around and act spooky. Elise then saw it was spooking the mare. There was a huge, man-like figure standing on the hill just above the herd of goats, watching them. He looked like he had a full dark brown winter coveralls on or a ghillie suit of some sort. She reasoned that it couldn't be a man because who would wear coveralls like that in this weather? And there was no reason for a ghillie suit. It was all Elise could do to hold the mare back from bolting. She told her she had to hold her back all the way back to the farm. Thank you for taking the time to read these stories. They aren't as descriptive as most, but enough to make me a believer. We're on nowhere. God bless Tina. P.S. I really do enjoy your channel, but the stories with the expletives are much more enjoyable, as I am in... Let me read that again. P.S. I really do enjoy your channel, but the stories without the expletives are much more enjoyable, as I am an ordained minister. There you go. Teach their own, right? Tina? Take from what you will or leave it. Sometimes I just don't have a filter on my mouth. Am I ashamed of that? No. Nope. No, I'm not. There's no offended here. Anyways, that's another topic. Blah, blah. I won't even babble on about offended culture. I'm being offended today. But there you go. Horses. So we're just talking about the dogs, right? It's not just dogs. Horses. Very common for horses to shit themselves and not want to go forward. Why is that? What's the horse feeling or sensing just from this dude standing on the hill over there? Not stalking the horse, not hiding behind a tree, just standing there, looking, focused on the rider and the horse is shitting itself. Wants to get the hell away from that being. Why? How come? Does anybody have that definitive answer yet? Right? What I would do to have a fluent conversation with a dog or a horse, just give me 5 minutes. A rural one, that is, right? Just give me 5 minutes of fluid conversation. The questions I would have, I would ask. And the answers would probably help me a lot. And that's when everybody finally realized that Steve was losing his shit. When he was starting to beg for a conversation with a horse in English. Right? Anyway, excuse me. Here we go. Off to another day. It's sunny out there. I got a lot I gotta do as usual. Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna pick sticks off the ground. Put them on a trailer. Pack them to the fire. And carry on to get more chores done. And then I come back here tomorrow. I'm going to make sure more people are heard. Word for word. I don't know what that noise is out there. I think the backhoe's finally getting taken away by the low bed. I keep forgetting to do this, but they're still here. We are around the world. Not only online, but we are around the world on vehicles. We are literally around the world on vehicles in the public eye. The club of no return. Once you know, you know. You're a member and there's no escape. There's no escape. I wonder what comes up. I've even Googled it. If you Google these, if you Google the club of no return, I wonder if that even links up to us. I'd imagine it must by this point. Right? Don't you think? But there you go. There you go. You might want to have a thought about what I ranted about earlier. If you have energy to get mad at anybody right now, I sincerely hope that you direct that energy, if you need to, at the names of the people responsible for putting us at the brink of World War III today. Those names need to be screamed from the hilltops. Those people need to be rounded up and strung up. I'm just going to say it, and there's nothing wrong with saying it. It's the right thing to do. I don't give a shit. Right? Here we go. I'm out of here.